everybody, and welcome back to the Talking Wolves podcast. Hope you guys are keeping well and safe. You've enjoyed your summer, and what obviously, well, it's not too long left, and the football season is finally restarting. We're here today for our pre-season and 2021 preview podcast. My name is Dave, and alongside me today I've got Mr. Matt Cooper. Matt, how's it going?
I'm alright, mate. How are we? You okay?
All good, thank you. All good. And we are alongside Mr. Finn Morris. Finn, how's it going?
Yeah, all good as well, thank you. Getting by.
Bloody hell, I'm never enthusiastic. Fuck me.
Sign some players.
Sign some players.
Nuno, we trust.
Well, today, as I said, we're going to be looking ahead to the 2021 season. We're going to be talking about the transfers, our thoughts on how the pre-season has gone or how we think it's gone so far. And as always, big thanks to our podcast sponsors at Pitch Football. The Pitch Football app is free to download on the App Store or the Play Store. You can predict your team for the upcoming Premier League games. You can share your team, share your thoughts on what's going on with your club. And everything to do with all football fans. You can check it out the Pitch Football app on the App Store. I think that's what you got to search, I'm sure. And big thanks to everybody that's shown support on all of our social medias over pre-season, whether that be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course YouTube as well. We've seen plenty of new fans, mainly FPL fans as well, asking our opinions on who should be playing and which position should be playing. So I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more as well in today's podcast. So lads, let's start off. I think we're going to start off with transfers because it's been the main talking point recently. Finally, Wolves have got going very slowly, but they've finally done it. But Matt, what was your reaction? It took Wolves a hell of a long time to get into the transfer window, and I think Wolves fans were getting very, very worried, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it was pant-wetting central, wasn't it, on Twitter? I think Wolves were the only club to not sign a first-team player and not to loan one out. And we were just, I mean, even you and I were both saying, like, give it till Wednesday, the week before, like, give it till Thursday, it'll come. And then even you and I were like, something's not right here. Something is not right. We've not made a signing yet. We've got so many outgoings and rumours of outgoings, and it went quiet on the old rumours front coming in, but Wolves kind of broke the bank out of nowhere. Well, say out of nowhere. The rumours of Fabio Silva had gone quiet in the past few weeks, but it did come out of nowhere, and it's a massive coup for Wolves. But I know it's ridiculous saying like we shouldn't have signed Fabio Silva, but I just feel like perhaps that 35 million could have probably been invested better at this given time without buying a right wing back or a centre half, etc. But needless to say, it's certainly an ambitious signing, and you know what? Fair play to Fosun for pulling out the cash.
I had someone comment on the video because I was saying fair play to Fosun, similar to you, spending a bit of money, and this guy goes, "It's not Fosun's money, it's Wolves' money." I said, "What are you talking about?"
How does that work then?
I said, well, yeah, but I said any money we've received, they could still pocket. He goes, it's not Fosun's money, it's the money from Costa, Cavallero, and Doc. I said, yeah, they could still pocket it though. So it's still Fosun's money.
Well, the club's still got to operate. It's got operational costs. You've got to pay wages.
Exactly. Finn, what do you think? Obviously, it was quiet. Fabio Silva comes in, big amount of money spent on someone that's not been able to prove it at a top level just yet. You got high hopes for him?
Yeah, I'm sort of with you in that, sort of in the back of your mind. You're sort of thinking, it's good and all, but was it really necessary? Was it where we needed loads of money being spent? Obviously, it's really looking towards the future, which is very, very promising to see. I mean, over the last few weeks, you've seen Fosun have lost interest, all that sort of stuff. So, obviously, that's quite reassuring. But I still think there's a lot more pressing matters than... I mean, a backup striker, personally, I was expecting a Oliveira in for a few mil or someone like that. But we've gone young. I really like that sort of mould of learn from Jimenez, and then when his time is up, he should, fingers crossed, Fabio Silva, if he progresses as we hope, he will then be the starting striker for many, many years to come before we sell him for 200 million or whatever.
He certainly fits the mould though, doesn't he, in terms of like a Jimenez replacement?
There's a picture of him today. You don't realise how tall he is. Like you think Portuguese wonder kid, yeah.
Yeah, he's quite big.
He fits the mould really for a Jimenez replacement. He can hold the ball up well. He's good with his back to goal, but he's a lethal finisher as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's a bit of a transitional period in the next 2 or 3 years where we're seeing a bit more of Silva and then maybe as Jimenez kind of winds down his career, he's kind of like the passing of the guard. But it's certainly an ambitious signing, and it's not a signing I think they'd make in a COVID world at the minute. I didn't think they'd be spending 35 million on what is at the minute a backup striker.
Yeah.
What do you think in terms of game time this season, Matt? Can you see Fabio Silva playing lots, or do you think his game time is going to be really, really limited?
I don't think it's going to be really, really limited. I feel that Jimenez is probably the first name on the team sheet anyway, so he should be. But I think you might see him rested a couple of more times this season than last. I know we've got less competitions, but there is more competition for his place now. Like last season, who else is going to come in and do his job do his job to a respectable standard? There was no one really. So I think we'll see a little bit less of Jimenez, but not drastically too much more really.
Yeah, and I think we could see possibly the introduction of, well, not the introduction because we play it already, but the two-striker formation a lot more. I think Jota now has got to be on his A game as well to make sure, his place is secure. And, he showed that he did well in the international break with Portugal, scoring a goal for them. I believe it was his first goal for the Portugal national team. But I still feel that with the current situation with Wolves setting up, the first couple of games, we could see the three in the midfield and two up front. So it's a big chance for Fabio Silva to come on and probably get some minutes. And Finn, you'd probably expect with the Carabao Cup games that a couple of these younger players that we're signing are going to get plenty of minutes as well.
Yeah, you can just see sort of next week Stoke away, Danny Bath just career ender or something. Couldn't you on Fabio Silva? Oh, is it at home? Wherever it is.
It's home. Wherever
no, well, make it a little bit
it
less
feels
windy
like away.
But yeah, bless him, his first game probably going to be against Stoke. So fingers crossed for him there that he isn't roughed up. But no, yeah, I can see all the cup competitions. I hope we really go for them this season as well. We've seen in the past Nuno just completely disrespect them, especially the League Cup. I mean, the FA Cup we had a pretty good run, but I try and forget about that as much as possible. But yeah, I can see us going for the cups, and he's going to get a few games there. And as you say, with the two up front, it's not. I don't know whether they're too similar, as we were saying, to work up front together. Certainly, whenever they tried Catrone and him and us up front, that really didn't work. I remember Everton away, Man City away, really wanting it to click, and it just didn't. So hopefully they can find that Jota and Jimenez-esque understanding, but I don't know whether they're too similar to play up front together. But I guess we'll see. You never really know, do you? It's like Jota and Jimenez have that telepathic sort of knowledge of where each other are, and we'll see if they've got that as well. Maybe just get some with Portuguese people more than Italians.
I think Jota needs to find that though.
Yeah,
because he seems to have lost it the past few months. So hopefully.
He was so hot, like he was on it though, man. Pre-lockdown, he was unbelievable. Like he was really, really good. He was on form. Obviously,
it's unstoppable.
Yeah. But like everyone knows it's in there. Everyone knows he's got the quality because there were people at the start of the season, me included, hoping that he was going to be the Wolves player of the season. And I remember we did some pre-season predictions, which we'll do again on the socials in the next few days. And there were so many people that said they were thinking that Diogo Jota was going to be player of the season. If he could have carried on that form from before lockdown into post-lockdown, then he may well have got a few more votes on that. But the fact that he was a lot quieter, he wasn't really hitting his form, it was unfortunate. So I think, especially now with the big signing, Nuno's going to want to be playing Fabio Silva as much as he can within reason. Because you wouldn't spend that money on him otherwise. Jota has now got to, knuckle down and really, try and play to the best of his ability, or otherwise Fabio Silva is going to be picked a lot more than him. Or if we play in a wide formation, Podence and Neto are going to be getting more minutes, aren't they?
Yeah. There's a reason that everyone calls Jota Nuno's son, though. So he'll find a way of playing him somewhere. I'm sure if Patricio goes out with a broken finger, then Jota will be getting a call up there. So.
But yeah, main test for Fabio Silva if he can do it against Stoke City on a Thursday evening, cold Thursday evening. The old cliche.
If you can't take Danny Barton to arsehole, then you might have to plug him now. Because I think a front three of us three would give him problems.
Unlike the Grasshoppers.
Royally ill, and he does hate Johnson, so
yeah. But I am looking forward to that game against Stoke because I think although it's obvious that Nuno is going to change it around, I think we'll still see. Well, it depends really. Will he go for the players such as Bennett, Boratini, Miranda? I don't know,
no chance.
It would be interesting to see if the likes of Obviously, some of the players that we'll talk about a bit more, but Marcel, if he'll play, because I'm assuming that he's not going to just walk straight into the team. Fabio Silva, Ferreira, who's due to sign soon. So it'll be really, really interesting to see how Nuno does approach that. I think as fans, we'd love to see a bit of silverware. I don't think the Carabao Cup is going to be high up on the list just because of the award this season. I think if it was still the Europa League that you'd qualify if you won that, I think it would be high up. But the fact it's now the UEFA Conference or whatever it is, I don't think it's going to be a high...
It's an away day, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so.
If you get into there...
Imagine some of the teams you'll play, though, in that. If it's the UEFA Conference, it's going to be some... Well...
Chernobyl away.
Probably, yeah, mate, you get some proper ropey away
We'd
days.
still play 5 at the back.
Anyway, we'll move on to probably one of the biggest talking points of the transfer window, the sale of Matt Doherty, or Doherty. We still don't know. I still don't know how to pronounce it because I got told off.
Only had 10
that's
years.
what I'd call him in. Yeah. The big sale. It was sort of out of the blue, really. It was reported, I think, midweek, and it was done by the Sunday. Matt, this was quite a big shock, really. I don't think anybody expected this one.
Probably best asking Finn, mate. I don't have an opinion on it.
Go on, Finn. We'll pass it to you.
I'm gonna have to find someone else from the agenda now, aren't I?
Yeah, Matt, you just take the angle of him costing us Europe, giving Spurs Europe with that the Burnley handball, and then I think it was all part of the plan.
Handball, didn't they?
I think he's done it on purpose.
Let's not get it twisted. He's not
done it on purpose, mate. Yeah, he knew it was coming. He knew he was going to Spurs. He's like, yeah, give him.
But he bottled that, and it's cost us. But I still think, despite me being one of his bigger critics in terms of his all-round game and his defensive contributions, I think his attacking output warrants a bigger fee than 15 million.
Yeah.
But to be fair, as the deal unravelled a bit more and it became closer and closer and closer, it made more and more sense. And I don't know why, and I still can't put my finger on it. Especially if Spurs are playing a back four, it's going to be hopeless. So... but he's been a great servant to the club. He's been there over 10 years, and I take this opportunity to thank him, Finn. Obviously,
yeah, completely.
I like how he quickly moved that on, Finn.
Yeah. He's gritting his teeth. Yeah, as you say, there's so many points to it that confuse me. One of the best things was Judas' tweet ending up on football images that preceded unfortunate events. Yeah. Like everyone was just like, nah, no way, 15 million. Especially when you look at. I know it's an age thing, but like Villa signing Matty Cash for more when, I mean, Doc's done so much in the Premier League. There's so many things going through my head even now, and it's been in so long. I think his stats are favourable because of the position he plays. Like when you compare him to other right backs, it's just not fair because he didn't play right back. He basically played as
he's a right midfielder.
Yeah. So it's like I think there is an element of that, and I think if we get in, I'm confident if we bring in a. Not worthy replacement, but someone that's actually competent. Not if we're playing Adama, they're sort of out of position. But yeah, basically Corona. That's my agenda. Basically I'm going to try and fuel with this point. So just let me get. I'm trying to sound a little bit unbiased, and then we'll get to the Mexican agenda. But yeah, Corona 20 goals, 20 assists next season. But we'll get to that. And it was sort of unfair. And again, in a back four, I saw him play for Ireland the other night, and they really weren't liking him in a back four. Then there's that point of them saying that Mourinho sort of played with a asymmetric sort of left back playing as a centre back and let the right back go forward. Was that just for Serge Aurier because he didn't trust him defensively? Is he going to give Doc that role? Yeah. Like there's so many points. It's like if, but, maybe. But at the end of the day, it still comes down that we should have got more money for him, and it just whiffs a little bit of Mendes saying maybe we can get Silva over the line or whoever if you just take the hit here. So. It's the dodgy world of Mendes, but yeah, we've had the good side of it more often than not. So yeah, it's just confusing, but I'm sort of over it now. I've sort of had my grieving period.
Nuno said though, didn't he, after the Sevilla game, like these players have been here since like day one, like it needs freshening up. I didn't think he'd be the one to go, but
no, me neither.
You know what? So be it. I think in that system you could afford to go and buy someone like Corona, who defensively may not be superb, but offensively can really get forward and link up well with whoever else is playing on the right. I think that's more important because if Bolly's playing right centre half, I've got faith in Bolly to kind of be on the cover if he's exposed, because it's usually the case that when we are defending, the opposition's wide players are going against our centre halves rather than our wing backs. So I think, like you said, he's not really a right back. He's playing right midfield. So I think identifying someone to go and play there should be a bit easier because you haven't got to fit like. You've got to be great defensively, got to be great offensively. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Maitland-Niles would have been perfect. He really would have been perfect. I really like him, but there's no way he leaves now. There's no way he leaves Arsenal.
No.
I think the only way Wolves will have any chance is if it's 3 or 4 games into the season and he's not broken in. But with his performances of late under Arteta, I'd assume he's going to be a starter. So
and Bellerin might be going to PSG.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
so
Forest Green.
I saw that as well.
He's better than Bellerin anyway.
Yeah. So that's one. Obviously, Doc. My thoughts on it was, I'm disappointed about the fee. If you told me at the start of the transfer window he's going to be one of the players they were looking to move on, I wouldn't have been devastated. Only because I think there are players that we can get there that are better, but not for that value. I would have valued Doc a lot more. There were a lot of people upset about it, but if you asked any of those people, name me 3 players you'd remove from the starting 11, it would probably be Doc, Sace, and probably Coady long term. So, the fact that Wolves haven't replaced him yet still, I'm sure, worries a few of us. But obviously there's still a few weeks left, and I think for the opening couple of weeks, Adama will probably do a job, but that'll be a conversation for later in the podcast. Next signing that was announced, Matej Sarkic. I'm joking, we won't talk about him, don't we? Marcel from Lyon. Matt, again, this was like Fabio Silva, which was, there wasn't really any concrete links for me that I would have trusted before Saturday, and it happened Saturday. Saturday evening, the Marcel links came about, wasn't confirmed until Sunday, and he was announced on Sunday. Fosun doing their business quickly, efficiently, and quietly. What do you reckon about Marcel anyway? Bit of experience for a change.
He looks hard as nails. He looks absolutely
you wouldn't want to cross
solid.
him in the street, would you?
No. His disciplinary records speaks for itself, but I don't know. I kind of want a bit of a bastard in the team. We are an aggressive side, and I think we need that. Maybe not as aggressive as he is, but I think for the money, £1.5 million. To get someone, I know he's like 31, but to get someone who's just played in the Champions League semi-final and has done comfortably well, to get him for that price on a 2-year deal in a position, he can play 2 positions, I just think it's a great bit of business, and it's actually risk-free. You're probably not going to make a profit on him now, but it doesn't matter, because he's not going to be on a shit ton of money either. You'll see
his contract out at Wolves, I assume.
Yeah. I think it's a great bit of business. I really do, and no one saw it coming. And I think it just kind of proves that. I mean, no one in England really has got a grip on Wolverhampton Wanderers' transfer business. It's usually just sources abroad who are closer to the club we're buying off. Yeah. No one's got it right. It's just guessing, especially
not the English journals. The English journals,
haven't got a Scooby, so I think it just shows that Wolves are kind of doing the business in the shadows. But I don't know. I still do think it's a good piece of business.
What are your thoughts on it, Finn?
Well, I've seen him play once or twice, and I it went through my mind with Leon playing in a back 3 that there's not many left centre backs about, left-footed centre backs that is, and it works quite well. And as you say, just having some players that just aren't very nice, like they're scary to look at. We haven't got many of them. I mean, if that left side, if you have got him at wing back and Sace at left centre back, I don't think there's going to be many right wingers relishing that one. Going to be a lot of bans in there as well. There were yellow cards.
To be carded double. Definitely.
Yeah, but no, I think it's just clever, solid piece of business. And I think I'm going to be more confident with him at left centre back, to be honest, from what I've seen and what I've heard as well. He wasn't the greatest at left back, let alone left wing back. But I think, to be honest, Wolves as well, we're used to the system, even if he does that. The attacking outlets of the wing-backs more came down the right. I know my slight sort of Johnny attacking agenda. I think he's superb defensively. So if Marcel sort of turns out to be like that, very solid defensively, and doesn't really go forward as a wing-back, then we're sort of used to that. So it's not the end of the world in either position. I think Nuno likes players that can play in various positions. So he ticks every box, really experienced. And I think the Brazilian thing as well, I think we've seen as a theme through this window. I'd never really thought of it, but helping them settle in, foreign players, when you've got Portuguese-speaking people everywhere. I think the Brazilians isn't really, apart from Bonatini, an avenue that we've really explored. And obviously with Telles due to sign every day or whatever. Pepe as well. It seems to be an avenue that we're going down. So hopefully there's a few more coming in. But I like it. Good piece of business. Clever all round. Ticks all the boxes.
If Johnny wasn't crocked, I wouldn't have even signed a right wing back. I'd have put Johnny on the right and then bought a left wing back, because I think Johnny, considering he's like inverted on that side, does a fantastic job of getting forward. I think he's really, really improved his game. But imagine if it was a bit more natural, where he could probably get to the byline. Yeah, and I think if we had a bit more balance in the wing back positions, brought in a really good left wing back, do a job someone at right wing back until Johnny comes back. That's if Johnny comes back the same player, because it's a nasty injury. Then I think that would probably be better. But I think it'd probably have to be Adama rather than like Oscar Burr or Sanderson. But yeah, it's a good piece of business. But I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Alex Telles come through the door. I'll tell you that.
Or their other fullback. That's the one we're missing.
Yeah,
Estevez.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Well, obviously we're recording this on Wednesday evening, the 9th. Ferreira is due to sign in the next day or so that'll probably be announced by the time you guys are listening to this one as well. Estevez, I've heard, is he's one of the ones as well that is meant to be pretty close. And then there's very soft links with Telles and Corona at the moment. Jesus, that is. It is a mass raid on Porto. Matt, if any club came and took 3 of Wolves' first team players and 2 or 3 of our hot prospects, you wouldn't know how to react, would you?
It's weird that, I mean, Porto have won the Champions League in the last 15 years. Yet we're coming and pretty much asset stripping, and we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't have Mendes.
Yeah.
But if you're a Porto fan, you're absolutely raging, aren't you? I mean, if Telles goes anyway, I don't know if he could come to Wolves, but probably top 5 left backs in the world. Fabio Silva's touted as being as good as Cristiano Ronaldo if he fulfills his potential. You've got Estevez, who's highly rated as a right back. Corona, who's been the player of the season. And then you've got the fella in the middle of the park whose name escapes me, who was apparently instrumental. Who's a real top talent. So you're looking at that thinking, we're going to end up here with just Vincent Abubakar up top again. So yeah, I can understand their frustrations completely, but I think it shows like a meteoric change in Wolves growing as a club and Porto not shrinking, but just financially not being able to compete with clubs like Wolves, which is mental.
Yeah,
absolutely mental. Considering
the financial state in the Portuguese league is just is ridiculous. I know a lot of people were talking about the Fabio Silva deal and how much it was. But all it needed was everyone knew how much potential he had. All it needed was one season of him knocking 15, 20 goals in next season in the Portuguese league, which I think he's easily capable of. João Felix did the same. And how much did he go to Atleti for? About 120 million? Something like that? After one really good season. Wolves were linked with him 6 months before. And then, he went for 120 million. So I think that shows the Portuguese league is still very well thought of, and everyone knows his talent there. You saw Bruno Fernandes, he was playing for probably not even the top 2 in that league. And he got a move to Manchester United, and arguably one of the best and most influential players since January as well.
He played in Italy, didn't he, Fernandes, before?
Yeah.
Yeah, for a little while,
Yeah, and he didn't really pull any trees up, and he went to the Portuguese league and did bits. Listen, there's some cracking players in that league. There's some really, really good players, but there's probably teams in the Portuguese league like mid-table who are probably better than some of the teams that we've got down the bottom. If you look at the shine of shite that's in the Premier League, I mean Braga,
yeah.
We looked at Braga and thought, piece of piss. We'll run them out of town.
Done us twice almost.
They played us off the park both games. So there were some really good teams in there. So yeah, I think people look at the Portuguese league and think as most European leagues is you got 2 teams that are decent, and then you got the rest of it. It's a farmers league, but I think it's a little bit naive to think that.
100%. Before we move on, we'll quickly look at the outs. Bruno Jordão, he's gone to Famalicão on loan. Sarkic as well, who came through the door, has gone out to Shrewsbury Town on loan. Obviously Doc's gone, who we talked about. Morgan Gibbs-White as well. With a loan move out to Swansea.
I saw a tweet from a Swansea fan
Yeah.
And it was like Morgan Gibbs White. Was it like all vibes and drip or something like that? No football
No,
in the
but yeah.
penalty. I was like, oh, God.
Is that what they're saying already?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
They went out,
Oh,
didn't they, in the first round of the Carabao? So there's been a big... So the first friendly, he had a good game, and then, it turns out...
I got a feeling he missed a penalty or something, did he?
Oh, I don't know.
Or I might be completely wrong there. I don't know if it went to a
It was
shootout.
something like that, though. Wasn't it Finn, that tweet?
Yeah, it was definitely something like that. All drip, all vibes, no ability, or something like that. But I can't remember what it was. But no, yeah. But it's a perfect move for him. He's got to grab that with both hands. I know, like with Steve Cooper being there, he's under-17 England manager, and like giving that free role, and in a lower league as well. So he should, if he's not doing it there, then loaning him out to League One, League Two clubs, you may as well just get rid full stop, really. So it's a big one for him.
If he doesn't pull trees up at Swansea, he's finished at Wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a big campaign from. I know there's a couple of questions about him at the end of or later on in the podcast, so we'll talk about that a bit more in a bit.
Yeah.
Grasshopper Zurich as well. The partnership has seemed to blossom in there. Renat Dadashov and Conor Ronan have gone out on loan there. There's another one as well. Totti, he called, the guy that came from Portugal, and he was loaned straight out there as well.
Teti Gomez.
Yeah. Well, it was Totti, and they spelt it differently on every article. Totti Gomez, yeah. Again, that's a weird signing. 'Cause I think he's of a half deep. He's about 20, and he's barely broken into the Estoril team, who I'm sure was second division in Portugal. So I don't know if that's one of the old favours again. Like, remember Flavio Cristobal last season?
Yeah.
Nuno's godson, who he somehow played a first team match as well against Villa. I remember someone said, "Oh, he looked good though that game." So mate, he played 5 minutes and touched the ball once.
I think that was Ashley Nixon who said that to me.
Yeah,
I think it was just because no one else was thinking it. I think Nixon thought he'd jump on the Cristobal bandwagon, but it's so. Is
that thing, the Cristobal bandwagon?
Well, there's only Ash on there, I think. But it is so like bent out. We get all these players in, they don't make a first team appearance, and they go elsewhere. Like, surely that we're not signing them for like potential. We're just doing someone a favour. But like Grasshoppers, it's not on the same kind of scale as Porto, but it's a historic club. And we're
I think it's a good team as well. Yeah.
All our shite out to Grasshoppers. I bet they're thinking, what is going on here? Like a big historic club like this, and we're getting like Bilston Wanderers. Like being said, I mean, he's probably doing like people like Dadashov a bit of a disrespect, but I don't know. Like, I don't know how I'd feel if I was like a Grasshoppers fan and I was seeing like all these kind of under-23s coming over.
Yeah, and Conor Ronan as well, who had a decent season at Blackpool, and getting a bit of a move to Switzerland.
But he's never going to play for Wolves, is he? He's never ever going to play for Wolves.
I really thought there was something that. I mean, he never really had a chance to prove it, has he? Really, I thought he was really good in that one Nuno game at Man City, but it's been at the level he's been at. He was really good in Slovakia, but it's Slovakia, and it's a shame.
He's got to be kicking on like 34 now as well. I'm not having that. He's like 21. he's been around for like absolutely years. But I wish him all the best. I want to see how Dadashov gets on, because I know Dadashov is actually quite highly rated within the club, so it could be a big year for him. I don't think he's going to come and pull many trees up for Wolves, but he might be a really good signing for a championship.
Did a big thing on him. I saw recently. They're saying instead of signing a backup striker, use him. I was like, okay.
I think that's just Tifo being Tifo, though. I think it's just so indie, isn't it, and so like left field. But yeah. I wish them all the best. And listen, if they get game time, it's superb for them.
And then the only other loan move out was Will Norris, which is a bit of a weird one. I thought, I know it was permanent, wasn't it, actually, to Burnley? Yeah. It's a bit of a weird one.
His agent, I do. Gee,
yeah.
What a move that is for him.
I know, it's a crazy move, that isn't. I don't understand the thinking, though. He's not going to get ahead of Nick Pope. I'd assume maybe he's going to be backup goalkeeper next season, but he didn't really
got that Peacock.
Yeah, they got one from Leeds, haven't they? The Irish one.
Yeah, Peacock Farrell, who's equally as shit, so... Will Norris is better than him. Will Norris is better than Peacock Farrell.
Yeah, I'd say so as well.
I don't know. I mean, Brian Bennett commented on Will Norris's Instagram, didn't he, saying, bloody hell, can you get me a move as well?
Yeah.
I saw that. So it's a great move for him. when he played against Man City in the Carabao, I was like, wow, this kid, he's unreal.
Yeah.
And then you saw him against Sunderland at the stadium a lot, you think, maybe not. So, it's a brilliant move for him. Fair play. I hope he's not going to dispossess Nick Pope, but hopefully he can make a bit of a name for himself, hopefully.
Yeah, and before we finish on the whole transfer front, Matt, going into the new season, what positions do you think are still key now between now and the end of the transfer window that Wolves really need to strengthen?
Right wing back, central midfielder. I think we might need another one, but not as important as the right wing back position, the left wing back position, and a centre half. I think we need 3 bodies through the door still. Really
so
do.
what position do you think? A right wing back?
A right wing back.
Yeah.
Or a left wing back and switch Johnny to the right when.
So who would you play right wing back in the meantime, though?
Adama.
Until Johnny's back.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like start of September now, so I reckon 3 months of Adama at right wing back. I think he'd probably fill in. I'm saying this as if Alex Telles is coming in, by the way. If it's some piss pot left wing back, then absolutely not. But if it's Alex Telles, then absolutely. I said it on Twitter, mate. I've played right wing back for Wolves at Molineux before. I'll do it again happily. But I think a left centre half and a right wing back is kind of paramount, really. But we don't know if Vinagra's going to go over, do we? So.
Yeah. Well, I saw a report today that Porto, they don't think they're going to be able to muster up the funds to afford him anyway. But surely, you know, if you could get Telles, if you know there's a possibility, you'd probably include him in some sort of swap deal for him.
God, imagine you being Porto and losing Telles for Vinagre.
The thing is, though, right, I think Vinagre, with how they can attack in that league, I think Vinagre would do really well there. And again, I think they make some serious money on him in the next couple of years. But again, Wolves fans just seem to be really upset about that. But I think he's had long enough to almost prove himself, hasn't he?
He's not developed as we thought he would. He looked class in the first season we had him. And then he's just kind of... He's improved, but not enough to kind of warrant turning down a £10 million bid, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because, I mean, he could improve a bit more, but I think I've seen enough of him now to realise that he's not going to be a world beater. So.
I'd probably accept more than 10. I'd probably want a bit more than £10 million, if I'm honest. But I can...
10 million with a fat sell on.
Yeah. But there's got to be a replacement there, such as Alex Telles. But I don't think I could trust that. No, I've not seen him play there, but that Marcel just didn't strike me as a left wing back that I'd like to see at Wolves, because I just don't think he'd be quick and as attacking as I would want to see as a fan. If you know what I mean.
And maybe even Reguilon if he fancies swapping Madrid for Wolverhampton. I really like Reguilon, but I think they only want 25 million for him. But I think Champions League clubs will be queuing up at the door for him. So.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's a difference between us having a bid accepted and him actually joining.
Yeah. Well, apparently we don't need European football to attract players anyway, so it should be sound.
Yeah. It looks that way. Finn, what about you? Is there any key areas that you think Wolves need to strengthen before the window shuts?
Well, obviously, right wing back, and there's only one man for the job. And then it's sort of, I don't know whether we need one wing back or two. It's weird with the Johnny sort of coming back, and then you could play him on both sides. Would one wing back, would we all be happy? But apart from that, yeah, centre half. And I mean, this kid is more highly rated than I thought he was going to be, this lone one. So whether we're all right there, I mean, you've got 4 centre mids, but then is it going to be for 3 spaces or 2? Maybe you will need another one just in case, but maybe not with Nuno. Sort of, we don't like anyone on the sidelines being unhappy, so probably a centre half and a wing back either side. Maybe one that could play both. Maybe there's a certain Mexican that can do that. So basically him and a centre half, and I'll be fine with that.
I'm going to make a bit of a bold prediction here, and it's going to get clipped up. But I think if we sign Pepe from Grêmio, I think we might see one of the wide players go.
I think the same, to be honest.
I think Adama will go if Pepe leaves. If Pepe comes in.
So what if they got Pepe, Corona, and a centre half, and Adama got sold? Would you be happy?
Well, I'll just set up wherever he
Why do you guys
goes.
want a centre half, by the way?
I want Tadibo.
Saisi's
Yeah,
just
but isn't that Marcel? I think he's been signed to play left centre
Get him
back.
on the. He's a cover player. I'm not convinced about Todibo either, or Tobido, however you say it.
Brian Badonde.
B-Day.
But I think if Adama went to someone like Juventus, then we'd just set up talking Juventus, wouldn't we? I think we'd have to because there's no way I'm going to be following Wolverhampton Wanderers without Adama being involved.
What's talking in Italian?
So what are you saying, Finn? If we sign Corona, Teles, and a centre half, would you be happy to let?
No, I said Corona, Pepe, but what would we have to do for you to not be furious that Adama's gone?
If someone came in and was like offered us 75 million for Adama and we reinvested all of that, then I'd have no complaints whatsoever. If we sold him for 75 million and then buy, I don't know, someone from like Famalicão on loan for this season, then I'd be fuming.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think we'd probably do. But it is weird that these Pepe links, which are pretty concrete, that Wolves have had a bid rejected for 15 million. Like, where does he fit in?
Yeah.
Left wing back, maybe?
Seems to be a jack of all trades, doesn't he? Just plays all over the place, which is ideal.
I said in the last podcast, I wanted, especially after the game against Sevilla, I wanted to see Wolves set up the same way but attack a lot more. We were too cautious in those last few games, and I think if you can get two wing backs like Corona, like Adama who could play there, and then like Vinagre or someone like that as well, I think that Pepe would slot in quite well there.
I think if Pepe comes in, I reckon Adama or Podence would go. I really do. Maybe Podence on loan or something.
Yeah, it would be interesting. We can start Parlando Juve. That's talking in Italy.
I was just looking at that as well.
Parlando Juve.
Piemonte, however you call it.
Oh yeah, Parlando Piemonte. Nice.
Oh yes, sounds good to me.
Trademarked.
No one else take it. Right, let's go into some questions then. Actually, before we do that, big up to all the players that got called up for international duty, especially finally Mr. Conor Coady. It was a bit of a split in the fan base whether he should ever be called up for England. I think it was fairly obvious, if Gareth Southgate was ever going to play a back three, Conor probably should get a nod. Finally he did. It was a replacement, but we still saw Conor Coady put on the England shirt. And the first Wolves player to do so since Matt Jarvis, and the first Wolves player to get a start for England since Steve Bull. Matt, that is a massive achievement for Wolves and Conor Coady.
Well, he's a top player. He really, really is. So. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know how he played.
He was good, but the actual game was.
I heard
pretty
that.
dreadful.
I mean, Southgate's just useless anyway. But for him to get that call up and for Southgate to show faith in him when you've got players like Grealish, and I know splits opinion, but has had a good season for Villa, and he's just he's just not picking him under any circumstance. How he has been, just got proper rejected it. For him to get the call up, and for England to actually change shape to accommodate him, which is what's happened, I think it's marvellous. And he has his critics as a footballer, but as you and I and Finn knows, as a person, he's a fantastic human being, and I am made up for him and his family, because they're all. I mean, even like Harrison on Twitter and stuff, speak to now and again. Like they're just a lovely family and a lovely bunch of people. So I am so pleased for him, and I hope he kicks on. And Southgate was so complimentary of him last night. The journalist asked a question about Jack Grealish and he got the answer. Conor Coady was fantastic. So yeah, which I thought Southgate must hate Grealish, but yeah, made up for him, and I hope he kind of brings his game on as well. He said like all these players in training are world class, so hopefully it improves him too.
I think it's the way Southgate spoke about him. I think Coady's going to become a regular to be picked by England. I think it's obvious now. It's come across on all his interviews. He's been getting loads of media coverage as well with just how he's spoken. And even if Southgate doesn't decide to play a five at the back, because if I'm honest, I don't watch a lot of England, but when I watched it yesterday, it just seems like England didn't quite have the players to make that work yesterday. Maybe because he's playing a back five and two defensive midfielders. But I think he's going to get picked even if England are going to start playing a back four. Yes, he might not play, But I think he's always going to take Coady for that option, and he was very, very good yesterday. Didn't have a huge amount to do, but what he did pretty efficiently. Finn, I don't know if you caught much of the game, what you thought of Cody's performance.
Yeah, I tried my best to keep my eyes open. It wasn't him. It was the formation was right, but the players that he played in there, like with Dyer on the left, I know they picked up at half time. It screamed for even like a Tyrone Mings, a left-footed centre half, and then 2 DMs as well. It was like sort of prime late Europa Wolves, where it was just sitting against a lower, I suppose Sevilla are better than Denmark, but it was so uninspiring. But Coady, in his job, I thought as well, with a lot of shouting. I mean, Kane's the captain, but they showed in the All or Nothing documentary, Kane isn't really a vocal leader. He's more of a lead by example.
Not a shouter, is he?
So having that shouter in there, loads of people picked up on him. I mean, people that hadn't really watched Wolves a lot before were going, God, Cody's loud. It's like, yeah, have you not watched a single one of our games? That's all it is, his main thing. But I thought he did well. It was a shame that the game was so boring, but he's a defender. He kept a clean sheet, and he played a lot of nice passes. So I can't really see us, with the players that England have got, I can't see us playing that long term. And if they do, they've got to get some more creativity in that midfield. It was just painful watching 2 DMs with 5 at the back as well, and then like a right-footed left wing back as well. But as for Coady, thought he did really well. As you say, Southgate picked him out even when asked about other players, so it's promising. I think he's got to be in the squad to give you that option if you ever need the 5 at the back, maybe when you're holding a lead, when you've started with a 4 or something. It gives the flexibility, and in a 3, yeah, he's got to be in there if we ever play a 3. And it was just amazing to see, as you say, like Steve Bull, the last player to start. That's such a long time ago that it's just crazy to have a Wolves player in there.
Let's face it, he's probably going to be the only Wolves player to start an England game for a while as well. We haven't got any English players. We're any good.
Ryan
sorry.
No, Bennett, so move on.
No, I was going to say, even Steve Bull got a mention on the coverage yesterday as well after the game.
Gary Neville dropped it.
Gary Neville dropped to Steve Bull, yeah. So good to hear, and obviously fair play to him. Obviously, mentioned earlier, Jota scoring as well. I don't mean Patricio played across the international break. Anthony Lopez, who's been
like
absent.
He's out of it, doesn't it?
Well, the thing is, Anthony Lopez sort of almost pulled out the last number of years because Patricio was number 1, but now with him being a Champions League semi-finalist, interesting that he got the nod on both games. I know Neves had limited minutes as well, so hopefully they'll be all fresh, fit and ready. A little bit annoying. I think the actual international break is probably the worst timing possible.
Ridiculous.
It's given Wolves a pre-season of about 4 days, which is frustrating, and it's one of them really. But fingers crossed, we'll hit the ground running in the season. Right, we're going to move on to the questions now. Anyway, we'll start off the. Let's go Facebook questions first. Miles Russell says, do you think we have enough going into next season with the additions we have made to finish in that solid 7th position again, or do you feel it's going to be a lot more difficult this time due to other teams' reinforcements? Matt, we'll start for you.
I think it is going to be really, really difficult. I'm happy with the business so far, but there's still a lot to be done. There's lots of clubs around us who are strengthening and have done their business early, which caused a lot of panic. But I mean, look at Everton. They're going to sign Tomori, sign Decore, James Rodriguez,
only midfield.
Alan. That's a completely new midfield, which is arguably an upgrade on every single one of their players, because Davies is shit, Sigurdsson's shit, and Andre Gomes is just a bit passive. So I think you look at teams like Everton who have made some great signings, and you've got clubs like Chelsea and Arsenal who have improved. And Spurs, I think, will be a different team with Mourinho having a pre-season, and so obviously City are going to do well. Liverpool, it's going to be really, really tough. I think Leicester might struggle a little bit, which might give us a bit of hope. But which is why we're saying we still need 2 or 3 more players to have a really good go of qualifying for Europa League or Champions League, but probably the Europa League.
Yeah, I think we all of us want to see us push for those European spots, but I think, you know what, for the 2 of the top 6 to have 2 of your traditional top 6 to have an off season is going to be very unlikely again, like we saw last season. You have still got the Leicester, but obviously with them being in Europe, they might find it a little bit difficult because they haven't really strengthened a huge amount. You look at the likes of Everton, like you say, who have strengthened. I think there's going to be a couple of decent surprises in there as well. So it is going to be another tough season. Finn, what do you reckon? Wolves have obviously kept hold of all of their key players, really, other than Doc. Do you think we're still in a position to get top 7 again?
Yeah, I think it's something I remember talking to Matt about towards the end of the season, that we're never going to push into those top 6 places consistently with a goal difference of where we had basically close to 0. And I'm very happy with the attacking options that we've got at the moment, but I think it was more attack-minded players from further behind. We knew the problems in midfield, where it was looking quite static, not many agile, creative players in there, and from wing-back as well, more attacking options. So I think that's where we need to progress. You could arguably say we've sold our most attacking wing-back and bought in one on the other side that's more defensive. So in that sense, not too confident. You've got teams above, sort of getting further away. Chelsea were in touching distance the whole time, and now obviously with their signings, they've gone so much further ahead. I mean, they could have a nightmare, but realistically they're going to do much better. Man United were much better second half of the season, and then as you say, Everton's. I even fancy teams like Southampton to have a good season this season.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's worrying. But last season everyone was saying, we'll do well to get top half, and we pulled it out of the bag. I think Spurs are maybe one to have a wobble, just because I saw their running at the start. It's like 8 games in 18 days or whatever. It's ridiculous at the start. So if they get off to a bad start, and maybe there's some blood to be what's the thing? What's the sentence? Blood to be smelt there. That's the one. But
I don't think what you mean.
Yeah. What is it? What is it when a shark smells blood? I don't know. Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, well.
They might not be that good.
I'm not sure if I can do another season of seeing us like sit on our own 18-yard box though. It's just boring shit football. When we actually have a go at teams, we're good to watch. But when
ironically,
like
that Tottenham game. Do you remember that one where we lost, but we were unbelievable? It's just
it was a
why
great
can't we do
game.
that?
That was. Yeah.
Maybe that's why we don't do it, because we lost.
Yeah, and then we'll like sit back against teams, and I get that you've got to change it for like the bigger sides, and like we got a good away win at City from sitting back, but I don't know, it's balls of life out of me when we like sit back, especially like the first half. So like
the thing is,
write the first half off.
The thing is, we drew a lot of games last year, and I said to you a couple of weeks ago, Matt, I want us to see us attack more. We might lose some more games, but we might win some more games by doing it. And if you get, say for argument's sake, we got 4 draws last season. If we attacked in all 4 of those games, yeah, we might have lost 2, but we could have won 2, and we would have still been 2 points better off than 4 draws. So I think we do have to, and that's why the whole wing back situation is going to intrigue me, and how we're going to play and how we're going to set up. I think the early test of Sheffield United, who showed that we're pretty sound last year, but weren't maybe so good going forward. It will be interesting. They've got a new goalkeeper in there as well now. So I think Wolves have got to really try and test Sheffield United. Both games last season were very, very close. Obviously, they nicked the win against us after lockdown. I'm hoping this time round we can, go at them and see what we can do.
I didn't realise how much Aaron Ramsdale looks like, man. It's actually scary.
In my FPL
until
goalie.
Someone pointed it out to me. I was like, Jesus Christ. He's got them saying like lipstick, rubber lips. That everyone seems to think that I wear lipstick
Every
on
podcast
YouTube.
without fail. Yeah.
Don't get it.
Yeah. Next question is from Josh Cox. He said, what are our views on the potential third kit? Is it going to be nation themed again? I mean, none of us really know. Do we really?
What colour would you like? What would you, if you could pick?
To be fair, I'd like an all black one.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I didn't dislike the obviously Portugal mock up that the fan cast did on their Twitter. It actually looked alright.
It can't be that, surely.
The main thing was though with that they removed the weird M on the Mambit sponsor. I think that's why it looks so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it will be that.
I want it to be like absolutely dreadful, but worse than the away kit we've got now. I just want it to be like, I don't know, because that's what I like. Like that away kit has really grown on me because it's so shit. So I think if you can go like one more and have it from like.
You thought this was bad, yeah?
They just need a pure like dead plain man, a pure black kit, right?
Black towel.
White spots, everything. Yeah, black towel would be unbelievable, but.
Imagine black towel, just the 2 wolf eyes, just like big,
and
then the Adidas in. Oh, that'd be lovely.
Glow in the dark.
That or I would like a red, or a black towel would be lovely.
How about black and green, like electric green?
Like, wasn't that like the 06 Chaucer kit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dave Edwards modelling it.
Oh man, I thought you meant the money shop one, that Lambert era.
Yeah.
That was horrific.
Nah, the Chaucer one.
Yeah.
I used to
like
love the navy blue one with like the orange hair. It had Chaucer on the front.
Oh yeah.
Navy blue and orange. Oh, that was like Lescott times.
No, I don't think so. Like Andy Keogh, Michael Kitely.
Yeah, that's what I remembered.
Navy
Keogh.
blue.
That's what I thought.
You didn't
Maybe
remember it. 'cause
I'm
you were
thinking
an
about a
Irish fan
different
then,
one. Yeah. Anyway, next question is off Harry Mansell. I don't know what he's on about.
Congratulations, by the way, Harry.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah,
Harry.
congrats, Harry.
Baby Stanley.
How does Dave feel that most of the local journalists get their info off his research talking balls? Well, I take it from Portuguese outlets, Harry, so it's not really my research. How many sources within the club do you actually think there are, and how private Fosun are? I think there's very, very little. I think the local journalists, like we alluded to earlier, don't know much at all until it's pretty close.
I know that obviously we report anything that we see that's fairly reputable, but I think because like journalists who are actually journalists have to report like concrete stuff, so
Yeah.
that's probably why. But that just shows like how little concrete stuff there is. But there's not been. I don't think there's been one rumour that we haven't picked up on that hasn't come true. I mean, there's obviously plenty of rumours that we picked up on that haven't come true, but I think every signing that we've made, we've probably reported previously.
Yeah,
Fabio Silva, but
Probably. I think we put something about him previously.
yeah,
And obviously we posted about it earlier in the day.
yeah.
But yeah, there's never been, we've signed a player, let me quickly tweet about it. Yeah.
There
I think
definitely
that's
are
never
people
been
in
the
the
case.
club. There's at least one. I remember. I think it was this week's Molyneux View. Tim Spears was saying as soon as he heard about the Doherty news, he said he rang someone. So there's someone in Wolves that will be dealing with that to answer the initial
There'll be
question.
a press officer that will give certain information, but I think a lot of the information will only be given out if it's not true, when you've got players and agents trying to get Wolves involved to bump the price up for another club.
Yeah,
That's when
so
Wolves will be
annoying.
like, no, we're not interested, because they're not going to be taken for a bargaining tool. But I think if stuff is more true, then the club are pretty coy in it. They're happy to reject stuff, but not happy to confirm stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when we interviewed Tim Nash a couple of years ago, he said that there was a time, right, where I can't remember what exactly happened. He found out by a club source that was a bit of news. It was during McCarthy time, and Tim Nash reported on it in the Express and Star on the Saturday. It was quite internal, the news, and on the Monday morning, Mick McCarthy called him saying, "Can you come down to the training ground, please?" And Mick McCarthy was grilling him, saying, like, "Who's told you this news? Who's the mole? Like, who's told you?" Tim Nash obviously didn't say anything, because he'd lose his club source then. So, but they are pretty, obviously they're a lot stricter now, and I'm sure Fosun will be upset when there was pictures like Marcel on the pitch
Yeah.
that were leaked before it was actually announced and
Funny
stuff
that.
like that. And, you know, but the one I can't get my head around is why Fabio Silva was out publicly at a dinner before he was signed with Jeff
Yeah.
Shee.
Especially with a
Or
Barney
unless
like that.
Jeff Shee unless Jeff Shee thought he was like, people wouldn't recognise him.
It would have been a done deal by then anyway, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, Andy Taylor, he says, we all know Nuno likes a small squad to work with. With Nuno saying in the January window and after the Sevilla game that we need more players to help, what do we think of the current size of squad where we need players, and our thoughts on how many we need to bring in before the window closes? I mean, we touched on that very, very quickly, but do you think the squad size is good enough at the moment, or do you think, you know, it needs to be bolstered a bit more?
With no more outgoings, we need 3, including the fella coming from Porto. Vitinho?
Ferreira. Vitor Ferreira, is it?
Vitor Ferreira.
Vitinho. Yeah,
Vitinho, that's what I was looking for.
So
I
3
think
players with him, so only
no
2.
more going out.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Finn?
You just need we can't be going into a season going, oh well, maybe he can fill in at right wing, but we need players in every position, which we haven't quite. We've got players that can awkwardly fit there or under 23, so I don't think that's too much to ask to have a natural player in every position. So yeah, same as what Matt's saying. That's a good number, I think, to go into season with. Because Nuno said, as well as saying players, he also mentioned about the refresh and stuff like that, and we've kind of done that with a few. So
Yeah, well, I'd say, you know what, goalkeeper you sorted,
Yeah.
strikers you're okay, wingers you're okay, midfielders I think you're okay once Vitor comes in. Left wing back could possibly do with a player, and right wing back obviously you do need some numbers as well. So I think I'd probably agree with that as well. It will be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks with that anyway. We move on to Twitter now for the questions. We'll start with Brad Bagnall. He says, what system do you think Wolves will go with? 3 in midfield or 3 up top? And a prediction on where we'll finish and how things generally will go in the league. We'll talk about that second part a little bit more, but let's say first game against Sheffield United, Matt, what system do you think Wolves will start with?
I think it'll be 3-5-2.
Yeah, I'd agree.
3-5-2 with Jota up top and Adama at right wing back. But I think we'll probably play with a 3-4-3 eventually. And in terms of predictions, I'm going to say 8th at the minute. Because I'm not overly optimistic because of how threadbare the squad is. But ask me in a week or two, and it might be completely different.
What do you reckon, Finn? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sort of that. Ask me in a week or two as well. But I think with the formation, if it's Vinagre and Adama at wing backs, I think you've got to go for the 3 in midfield, especially, and it'd match up Sheffield United for that as well. I'd like to see at some point, and I know I talk about it a lot, but that second half at Southampton where we went into this guy behind the 2 strikers where Neto played there, and it was just so refreshing to see. So if we could ever do that, almost a 3 in midfield, but yeah, as Neto as an advanced midfielder and then 2 up front, I'd like to see that a bit more because I don't know why we haven't, to be honest, because it works so well. So I'd like to see that a little bit, but if it's Marcel and Adama, do you really want the 3 in midfield? Is it going to be a bit... I think they will start 3-5-2, but as Matt said as well, sort of evolve into something a bit more attacking eventually once everyone's settled. Because that's something that's also worrying me a bit, that when we've signed new players before, because we've had players in the positions ahead, like Dendoncker didn't come in till near Christmas when he signed in the summer, and players like that, like there's no sort of Nuno education time that he likes to give them. So it's kind of worrying me a little bit that they won't have that sort of, they know the system, they know all that sort of stuff. So I'm thinking, to be honest, my mind's going anywhere between 6th and 12th. Like I really don't know.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think we'll go with the 3 in the midfield just to add that little extra support for Adama. I think you got an extra midfielder that can sort of help back and slot into there a little bit more. But obviously with the flexibility of that formation, you know, if we are trailing or still, if Nuno thinks it can push for the win, obviously we've got the ability to do so. Again, in terms of prediction, I think it'll be a top half finish for Wolves again. But I think the next couple of weeks we'll find out, and I think it'll become a bit more clearer where Wolves fans know we'll finish really.
Yeah.
Brad Fisher has said, if it came down to it, which one of these 3 would you rather leave? Jimenez, Adama, or Neves? Matt?
Adama. I think he's more replaceable, despite him being probably unique, so which is odd. But I think his attributes are more replaceable for a more reasonable price than Jimenez's goals and Neves' steadiness. So yeah, it'd have to be Adama, as much as it break my heart.
What about you, Finn? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm the same. There's an argument that he's irreplaceable because there's no one like him really. But I think out of those 3, yeah, he's replaceable but not replaceable. Like you couldn't get in another Adama, but you could get in a player in that position a lot easier, I think, to fit into the system. So yeah, I wouldn't want to lose any of them. They'd probably be the 3 that I'd want to keep out of the whole squad. But yeah, probably Adama if I had to.
I'd probably agree on that as well. Just in terms of monetary value, I think you get it. Like you say, his pace is not replaceable, but as a player with all the other mental attributes and technical attributes that a player would want, I think that is replaceable. So yeah. I mean, yeah, we don't want to sell him, but you know, if we had to pick out the 3, it would probably be that. Arbieto on Twitter says, the previous seasons when we had a black away kit, we have needed the 3rd kit option. Do you think the potential drop in sales due to the majority negative feedback of the away kit is a reason for announcing a 3rd kit?
No, I think it's been in the pipeline for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they agree all the kits by January of the year. And obviously at the time it was looking pretty likely that Wolves could finish 6th or 7th again. So Europe was always going to be an option. So yeah, I think that's a main reason really. I think we could see it. And in terms of marketing and sales and stuff, how many varieties of that home kit did Fosun release or Wolves release at the start of last season? There was like 3 or 4 different home kits. So in terms of making money and stuff like that, I know some fans don't like it, but I think a third kit, we might only wear it 2 or 3 times a season. Be like that limited edition blue kit the year we went up, but I still see people wearing it. Still did numbers as well. Cameron Bruce said, assuming Vitinha signs, if Jesus Corona is our last signing, would you be happy with the transfer window, and do you feel we could challenge for the top 6, Matt?
Not top 6, but I think that I'd be happy with the window.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with the window. If no one left and we brought Vitinha and Jesus Corona or someone of that standard, then I think the centre halves would have to do until January. But yeah.
What do you reckon, Finn? One more signing, Corona. Would you be happy with that?
I think I'd have to be, from my personal perspective, not just because of the Mexican aspect. I think it would just be a lot more fun to watch. Like I love players like that. If you had Adama and Corona down the same side, so much flair there. But you'd still need other players. But then the Johnny injury really sort of makes you swap between thought processes in my head. Like it's up until January we may struggle, but then after that, have you then got too many players for those positions? So I think I would be happy with that. A few more step overs. If Vinagre doesn't go, there's way too many step overs in that team really. But I think I couldn't complain with that, even though we're probably a little bit light still.
Yeah, I think I'd be satisfied with the transfer window. And in ranking it against other transfer windows that we've had over the last year or so, I think it has been fairly solid. And added in positions that we needed really. So move on to Ben Southall. Considering what we've already spent on this window, do you think Nuno will spend big on a Doherty replacement or settle for less? Matt?
I don't think we'll spend big. I think 20 million tops.
Yeah. Whether that be Tavares or Corona, someone like that.
I think is it Estevez, the right back?
Yeah, that's it. I keep calling him Tavares. I don't know who the hell that is, but it is Estevez.
There is a Tavares in the knocking it.
That's why I
think he'll cost quite a bit of money anyway, so you're probably looking at like 14, 15 million for him, I reckon. So I think 20 million tops.
Gotta go Corona. You've got to go it's just.
Yeah, I hope he wears number 19. Yeah, 20 million on Corona would get him, even though his release calls you 30. Porto are skint. So am I. Let's just go and do it.
Well, he was banned from having Corona on his back. I've done a lot of research into him. He was banned from having Corona on his back at his first club because
why?
Well, he was at Monterrey, and the people that owned Monterrey were the rival beer company in Mexico to Corona, Tecate. That's how he's got the nickname Tecatito, because they tried to get that into everyone's head, and he was known as like the little beer man. He had to have Jesus C, and then they went to Tecatito on the back. So yeah, he's had a lot of things on the back. I've read up his life story.
Is it J Corona now? Is it? Or?
Well, yeah, last season he had Tecatito sometimes, and then Porto have let him have Corona. Whether we can get creative, just chuck a COVID on the back or something. Yeah. That would be. Imagine that shirt, COVID-19.
Corona 19.
That would not sell. That would not sell. Oh, the Corona 19 one maybe, but yeah. Final one off Twitter, Sideways Gamer, your boy Reese, as he's known on Twitter. What do you think will happen when Gibbs White comes back from his loan spell? He has said, what is your dream starting 11 for Wolves, but we'll skip that because I don't really know.
Clear his locker and go elsewhere. If he's all sauce, all vibes and no footballing ability, then I don't know. It all depends how if he pulls trees up, he'll play for Wolves. But if he has an average season, then he's finished.
I think they'll cash in as well.
Yeah.
Do you reckon, Finn? Do you think it's been a bit of a match of the day type hype on Morgan Gibbs White? He had a couple of good games last season.
Yeah.
Gets the big up from Gary Lineker, and now all of a sudden everyone else thinks he's the next big thing.
Yeah, that really didn't help him, that sort of over hype, and literally like 20 minutes and they were saying, is this kid going to be in the England team? And I think as a player you can listen to that and that's affected him. But yeah, if he's grounded now at Swansea, he's sort of got a lot of pressure on him now, which I don't really think he's had at Wolves. Wolves have really, like, they could have after the whole lockdown thing, could have just got rid, but they've shown faith in him, new contract, given him a really good loan there, so it's now or never. And I do back him to do well. I think he'll have a good season, but whether it's good enough to warrant a space even on the bench next season, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Quickly go over to the last couple of questions over on Instagram now. Isaac Barnsley, he said, what do we think of the new signings and who do we think still needs to be brought in? We've answered that one, hopefully, Isaac. And George said, do you think Marcel could replace Saiss at left centre-back?
Yeah, I think so. I think that he's probably next in line, because I don't think Kilman will be. I think if Saiss is suspended, when Saiss is suspended,
they'll just rotate on the red cards.
Yeah, or round robin at that left centre half. I think yeah, and if Saiss is out of form because he does have a dip, I think he would be the one in there. I tweeted about a week ago, I'm sick of no more 5'10" centre halves. Talking about Vallejo. And we're going to sign a 5'10" centre half, but I think he's a lot more physical. So yeah, I'd say so.
Brilliant. Well, big thanks to everyone for the questions. Hopefully, you got the answers that you would want. Finally, I think we may have done this very quickly, Matt, at the end of the last podcast. But let's have our pre-season predictions for where Wolves will finish at the end of the season. So Finn, we'll start off with you. Where do you reckon?
I'm going to be
Between
positive.
6th and 12th is not an answer.
No, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's basically nearly third of the table. I'm going to go positive. 3 sevenths in a row.
Top
Is
20.
that boring? I'll go 6th. I'll go top of my thing just to bring it up a little bit. I'll go just to balance it out a little bit with a bit of positive. Corona's in, and 6th. That's what I'm going to say.
Matt, what do you reckon?
I reckon 15th.
There's a yin and a yang there. There we go.
As it stands, 8th. But again, ask me in a week and it'll probably be 2 weeks, probably be different. So I'm going to say 8th, and I'm going to say quarterfinals in both competitions.
Interesting.
I'm
going to say top 20.
I think that's a fair shout. Probably a safe bet, yeah.
I'm gonna sit in between you two. I'm gonna sit on the fence at 7th. To be fair, if we got promoted and said, right, you're gonna get 3 7th places in a row, I think you would take it, and that's what I'm gonna.
Not progression, though, is it?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
It's not though, is it? It's standing still. When you stand still,
it was a point progression last season, but we were very unlucky there.
Yeah, but then we missed out on Europe. So what does that matter?
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Our souls.
Our souls. Yeah, but thanks a lot for listening, guys. That is the Talking Walls pre-season and pre-season preview podcast. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave us a review. And obviously, hopefully the podcast issue is sorted. On a couple of the podcast apps last time, it took a little while to push through. But yeah, Spotify and wherever else you're listening to as well, we do appreciate it. Be sure to be following us Be sure to be following and liking us on all of our social media pages at Talking Walls everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. But Matt, before we finish, where can people find you if they wish to?
M Cooper writes as in written on Twitter and Instagram.
Finn, what about you?
And Finners, as you wouldn't spell it, FINERRZ.
Brilliant. And you can find me at Dave as a Party on Twitter as well. Thanks a lot, guys. Hopefully Wolves kick off the season with a win against Sheffield United, but we'll be back in a few weeks' time to review and chat about how Wolves have started off the campaign. Until next time, we'll see you all very, very soon.